In this video, we're going to continue filling out our moving platform functionality. And I want to add my start audio and my stop audio. Right now, our audio should follow our platform around when we activate it. You have to get pretty close to hear it. So you know what, maybe I do turn that up just a little bit and increase the default sound down here, actually up here. I'm just going to increase that attenuation. So I'm going to compile and save this. The first thing I want to do, if I want to have a start sound and a stop sound, I need to leave that open for the designer to choose a sound. So I need to do the same thing that I did before, where I left a variable open for that. So to do that, I'm going to go back into my event graph. I actually didn't need to do that. Create a new variable. And you'll see it defaulted to the previous type, which is kind of handy for us. I'm going to type in start sound, and I'm going to click the eyeball because I do want the designer to be able to see that. Just to show you can do multiple ways, I'm just going to duplicate this one and call this stop sound. Again, I do want the designer to see that. And I want those to play somewhere down here. When I start my movement, and this activate feedback gets called right here, I want to turn on my looping sound and then play a sound at a location. I don't need to use the same audio source. All I need to do is essentially play a sound at a specified location, and I can play it anywhere I want. And I think for now it makes sense to play it from the audio source. So we're going to spawn something at that location. To do that, I'm going to first pull off of play, type in play sound at location. So under activate, we're going to play sound at location. And all we need to know is what sound do we want to play and where do we want to play it. And remember, this is not an audio component. This is a sound. We can pull in our start sound right here, our sound clip or cue. And this is the sound I want to play, and this is where I want to play it. In order to decide where I want to play it, I think it makes sense to just get the location of our component so it could be moving around with the platform. If you want to play it from a different location, you could do that. Or you could expose the location if you want. You could do that too. I'm just going to pull off of the audio component. Again, this exists inside the world, and type in get world location. You could get the transform and get everything if you want. But I'm just going to get the get world location because this is all I need. If we compile and we save, first thing I need to do is I need to decide what my start sound is. I'm just going to be really over the top and put in an explosion sound. We could do that. You know what? Let's use the explosion cue. Either way would be fine. I just think it'll add a little bit of variety. And we'll save that and hit play. You see every time we turn this on, we hear that explosion sound. This could be a machinery activate, or you could get a sound designer to do something a little fancier. You can actually pull in other audio from other projects. I just wanted to be able to do all of these demos through the starter content, just to keep things really simple. Okay, so now we want to do the same thing with stop, which is going to be the same process. The designer can designate a stop sound, so we'll just pull that in preemptively. When we deactivate our platform, we call the deactivate feedback, stop our looping sound, and then play a unique stop sound, which we can type in. So we want to play, again, play sound at location. You know what you could do as another option? You could play sound 2D, and then it doesn't matter what location it is. You could do that too. I think that would be fine and appropriate. I'm going to hook in stop sound right here. And I'm going to do the same thing with my get world location for my audio source. Okay, get world location. Plug that in, pull that out. And I bridge this a little bit. So now if the designer chooses a stop sound, which again, if you wanted to add any defaults here, you could, but I wanted to keep my generic movement blueprint pretty clean and leave that open for people to manipulate. if I click my instance of my moving platform and now I choose a stop sound, let's be really obnoxious here and choose a collapse cue. And you could do a cue or a collapse sound, doesn't matter. And if we hit play, you see that it's actually functioning how it's supposed to. And those sounds are playing when we activate it and deactivate it, not necessarily whenever it's moving one direction or the other. So we can test that out too. Right, and we can replace that subtle hum sound with something a little bit more obvious if we want. But it's pretty cool because now we could make our own platform and we could just swap out the audio and have different moving platforms of different types, and we could fill out our level with this. And we're starting to create a reusable blueprint that we could use across multiple levels, which is pretty interesting. So now that we have this, we can start thinking about visual feedback. And before we do that, I'm going to quickly relabel, hit C, play audio feedback, pull that out. Maybe we relabel this play. If you double click this, you can rename play audio deactivate. We'll select this and say play audio deactivate. And I mislabeled this. This is activate. Okay, and then in addition to our sound, we may also want some particle effects and things to play from our moving platform as well. So you could imagine some sparks flying out as it's moving, maybe an explosion, or maybe some things crumbling off as it gets started. We do want to make it really clear to the player that something happened, and I think that particles are going to play a big factor in that. So at the very least, you want to leave the option open to the designer. So we'll work on that next.